Okay, good afternoon. Good to see all of you. Today is our very first actual discipline dialogue for the 24-25 or 23-24 academic year. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Joining us today, we have Bryce Eaton, who is an academic advisory committee member. Bryce, have you been on the academic advisory committee 2 years now or 3?
Yep,
3?
2 years.
2 years. Anyways, has lots of good things to offer at the meetings and is a valuable resource for us across the entire state. Just for some background, in previous years, we would have a K-14 dual credit summit, typically at the end of the school year. This year, the format changed and it was also moved up a little bit to March, and we targeted our dual credit champions or points of contact in the building rather than the instructors. But one thing that was really valuable from years past was the discipline dialogue sections, the breakout sessions we had at the end where the instructors could have those one-on-one conversations with the program chair, faculty liaison from their service area to answer different questions. Just talk about what's going on in the field and things like that. So we wanted to bring that in a virtual world this year to keep that going and to maybe see if this would be a permanent way to do it moving forward instead of having the breakout sessions face to face. Anyways, this is the very first session of the very first year we're doing this. So we'll see how it goes. But anyways, Bryce, thanks for joining. If you want to take a second, go ahead and just introduce yourself here for everyone.
Sure. Bryce Eaton. I've been with the college for 15 years. I recently took the position of dean in Lafayette for the School of Advanced Manufacturing, Engineering, Applied Science. Thank you. I started as welding faculty 15 years ago, taught welding for 7 or 8 years, and then I moved into the Advanced Automation Robotics Technology program, served in that capacity up until this point. I was part of the implementation team for smart manufacturing digital integration. Know that program pretty deep as well. So I think that's about it. Married, 2 kids. They're in high school, almost done. If we can get one of them graduated, that'd be great.
Well, thanks for that. So this session here will cover advanced manufacturing or ADMF, energy technology, industrial technology, machine tool technology, welding, and SMDI programs. So all of that being said, and granted, that's kind of a wide-ranging or a lot of programs right there. But you are a dean now, so you oversee a lot of programs, so it's kind of in your wheelhouse too. Just speaking from like the dual credit, but also the program chair perspective, program chair hat that you've had on before, what are some best practices that you've seen from whether it's dual credit instructors or in your class, things like that, that could be implemented in a dual credit class that could really help elevate that course section that's happening in high school?
I think one thing that's unique within our school is several of our programs have adopted the statewide curriculum, which includes a lot of statewide content in courses. Some of the like INDT, ART, WELD, energy is starting to go that direction, building out some statewide shells. Machine tool also has the statewide shells. So utilizing that content where possible is going to be the biggest key. So I know that a lot of those courses have embedded labs that utilize a specific equipment, but the learning content has been designed in a way that's trainer agnostic. So regardless of what type of trainer you have, the learning curriculum is able to be utilized. So there'll be some labs that would likely need to be built or modified, but really using the resources that Ivy Tech has through Ivy Learn is probably the biggest piece. And if I were a dual credit teacher, I would absolutely take all the content that Ivy Tech was willing to give.
It is always nice to have, as a former high school teacher, to have lesson plans ready to go, that you don't have to build out too
Sure.
much. Um, Not knowing the ins and outs, is there a cost associated with any of the, like you mentioned, labs and stuff like that? I'm assuming Perkins funds, like at the high school and district level, would be able to cover a lot of it, but would there be any costs associated with some of those things?
Yeah, so there is with amateur content in some of the courses, there is statewide license or high school site-wide license associated with those. And so we use ADEX. So Justin Chittick at ADEX Corporation is the person that would be able to issue those. And then there's a small fees for certifications within some of these courses as well. But really, it does benefit the students as they leave the program as a third-party assessment of validation of skills. So kind of planning that into the budget is critical, I think. But yeah, can definitely use Perkins funds on that if the CTE directors can make those available.
I'm kind of going in a different direction there. But one thing that, a lot of high school teachers need to do is ongoing professional development. Granted, this session right here, we're going to give out a couple PGP points for anyone that attends. But just looking at a broader scale, whether it's earning a new credential that allows them to teach new dual credit courses, or just professional growth opportunities that are out there, whether it's for free or maybe there's a small cost associated with that. Do you have anything in mind that dual credit instructors should be either looking for down the road, or maybe it's available to them right now?
I think the biggest piece is just communicate with their program chairs and their content areas. There is likely opportunities for the professional development, especially in the summer with vendors and things, companies along those lines, that there very well might be funding at the statewide or campus level to help support those. I know we've got a lot of grants that we're always working on, and there's a good opportunity for that because technically, we view our K-14 partners as adjuncts. So kind of passing on those funds can be beneficial.
Yeah, and I will do a slight plug. We should find out tomorrow. Actually, today is April 4th for anyone watching the recording later on. But we are going to have some Perkins dollars available for high school teachers to take skills training with us through the Career Link department within the college. So hopefully we'll get a few dozen new dual credit instructors with people who will take, a couple, one or two things that they need to get that last credential. So that way they can start offering dual credit. So wanted to do that plug in case anyone sees that between now and middle of May or so, when we will be rolling that out across the state.
If something else comes up and people feel like that they need some more training in a certain area,
Yeah.
and we see that need, we can build in some sort of summer professional development as well. Summer are usually the best time for folks. I put on one I think 2 years ago, last year. I'm not I think it was 2 years.
It was actually last year. I should have, not to put you on the spot, but I remember it was last year because I was going to go, but then it was overlapping with my vacation. And I think I was at Disney World the day you were doing it, so I couldn't make it.
I wouldn't have come either.
Yeah. It would have been cheaper to go to yours instead of Disney World. But yeah, so yeah, campuses often do that type of stuff, and the program chairs are always really good about getting the word out about that. So this year, I know, at least listening to some of our friends in academic affairs at the systems office level, I believe next year there are like 68 or something like that course updates in the COR. Out of all of our courses, we offer several hundred, at least dual credit alone, we offer like 425 dual credit classes. And the college itself beyond that offers probably double that number. So, a decent number of courses are having some sort of update, whether it's the new course standard or maybe equipment, things like that. So with all that in mind, is there anything, whether it's new courses, certifications, equipment, course objectives, any big developments that anyone should be aware of for this coming year?
Yeah, there's been some updated language on the curriculum of record for a few of these programs just to define certifications a little bit further. As we've embedded those certifications in the courses, the language technically wasn't very clear on the expectation that the certification is part of the course and that it should be attempted. And so that language has been updated to reiterate the fact that those certifications should be attempted as part of the course, and part of the grade. So really it was across most of these programs. WELD was a big one that it kind of affects everyone statewide with the welding certifications, especially the dual credit partners. And I know that they're currently working on that, but for years, the second level courses had welding certifications, American Welding Society welding certifications embedded in those. The challenge is that in order to offer those, you have to be a part of an accredited testing facility. So none of the high schools are. I think there's only 7 or 8 locations in Indiana, and all but one are Ivy Techs. So we're looking at statewide how best to support those efforts, whether that be hubbing those certification processes in certain locations. Really don't know what that looks like, to be honest. But it's one thing that we're reinforcing moving forward is those expectations have been there for a long time. We just maybe haven't been real clear on getting those done. And that even happens at our campus credit level courses too.
Yeah. So it sounds like at least a little bit in that area. Stay tuned. More opportunities coming or developments coming about it. I do want to put in the chat for everyone. This should be available too for anyone watching the recording in the chat. A little box on the side. We have a folder with all of the syllabi for the upcoming academic year. So just a reminder to everyone, you will have to submit your syllabus or syllabi for each course that you offer at the beginning of the school year. And so we are coming up with a course-by-course template for every dual credit instructor in the courses they teach. So there'll be a handful of things that you'll have to modify within it, your name, email, school, things like that. Some of the scheduling parts of it, if you're offering the course in a trimester or semester format, things like that. But that way, it's designed to try to eliminate some of the issues that sometimes pop up where people are trying to find different, sometimes if you Google a course, you might find an old reference to old course objectives, things like that. We want to keep that fresh and available for everyone. I'm also going to put in the chat here in just a second, after I ask my next question, there is a discipline dialogue Google form that I have. So anyone that participates in this, that listens, high school teachers can fill out that form. And then sometime in mid-May, when we get done with all of our discipline dialogue sessions, I will send out professional growth points to anyone who has filled out that form. So as a way to track, and we can get some data to see the usefulness around these sessions, and also maybe ask a couple of follow-up questions in a survey. So Bryce, you did make reference to OER materials and course shells that are available. I assume that for most instructors, just the best thing that they should do is to reach out to their program chair and K-14 director to try to access those materials.
Yeah, and that kind of ties back to the syllabus piece too. These statewide courses do have syllabi that are already built for the courses, and our instructors just have to modify some of the information inside of that. And I think I can share my screen here, Mark, if that's all right.
Yeah. Here. Oop. You should be able to now.
Let me, okay. Maybe. So this is just an example. This is INDT 103, a motor control course, which may or may not be relevant to this conversation. But the way that these courses are built out, statewide courses, there is a syllabus tab here. And within this course is pretty much all the information that needs to be listed for the checkoff. So down to withdrawal dates. So every semester we have mentors that update these that are based on withdrawal dates, refund deadlines as they relate to Ivy Tech college classes. But the cores are updated in here as well. But there are things like instructors' names and supervisors are to be inserted in these places. So there's placeholders for those. So it may make things a little more easy to implement. And then typically what we'll do is, because we, at least on our campus, we take these and we do audits on these. So we print them out to PDF. So we simply just do a file print, and then we print these to PDF, and then those can be uploaded in that format. So I don't know if that's maybe I derailed the way that you want to do things, Mark, but
Oh, that's perfect.
yeah.
No, that'd be I think this is a really good resource. Just generally speaking, I think if we can get more instructors and students in Ivy Learn, the better. I don't really see any big downsides from that. So thank you for sharing that. So last here on our agenda, which may be the shortest part, maybe the longest part, we have Q&A. So if anyone on the call has any questions that they would like to ask Bryce about, the programs that he oversees, or maybe about his 2 kids that he just mentioned, or anything like that, feel free to come off mute and ask a question or two.
And I am also a Disney adult, Mark. So if anybody has Disney questions,
Yeah. I think Bryce and I are like secretly like twin brothers. I mean, he's got his like Speedway stuff and I got my Speedway stuff, and we like Disney, like we are just, we're best buds. We just don't know it yet.
are you an out-of-state pass holder, Mark?
No, I'm not. No, you're better than me. You're
Come on,
better.
man. Step it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I don't make that Dean money. So, yeah. Anyone have any questions?
Well, I think I know Bryce from being on the committee, but also from being working with the Lafayette campus. And I think something else that Bryce has not mentioned yet, but I think is also could be important to this conversation is Bryce is also a school board president.
That I am.
So can you just briefly discuss like all of these changes and how dual credit looks to that level at the school districts?
Sure. I think I'm in a unique place because I get to see kind of both sides of it and how those tie together. So I know way more about next level program of study than I should. So with that being said, when we're looking at what programs make sense to our local school district from a school board perspective, one is are there jobs within our community that these students can stay in our community? Because that's the goal. Is that's the goal of community college. We want them to stay local. So what are the biggest skills? So it's not, we shouldn't be looking at which ones pay the best when we're looking at state funding. We should look at which ones make the most sense. From there, though, is the availability of those funds to be able to support some of these programs as well. But you also have to have student interest. So the worst thing you can do is hire a teacher and then not have any kids in the classes, or have kids in classes that they're not interested in. I taught a dual enrollment section last semester. And if the kids aren't interested, they're not interested. And it really is not helpful to the rest of the class for the kids that are interested. So just making sure that you identify the correct courses for those folks, and having a path for them also from the beginning through, if they want to pursue this career on through Ivy Tech, or 4-year or whatever that looks like, because we're all in this to get the students the best education that they can. So whether that's Ivy Tech or Purdue, or I guess if somebody would want to go to IU, I don't know why they would, but that's the biggest piece, is just making sure that we're providing a good education for the kids, giving them the resources that they need to be able to succeed. I never thought that I'd be in education. I wanted to be an auto mechanic, but some great teachers made an impact on me that changed kind of the direction that I went. So that's all I have to say, Laura.
Well, I appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been positively affected by one or two or many teachers that we all can think of real quickly. At least I did when you mentioned that. I am going to put in the chat my email if anyone for future reference does have any questions. Bryce, if you wouldn't mind putting your email in the chat as well, so that way we can have people reach out. That being said, does anyone have any other questions before we dismiss class today?
I had one question, and it was, I guess, strange that it came in today because here we are talking about these subject areas. So I had a high school reach out to me asking today about the, I guess, engineering ENGR classes, like if they are maybe ever or maybe in the works of ever being added to the crosswalk.
Probably
and not. That's what I figured, but I wanted to ask since we had an expert in the room.
Yeah. So especially with us being across the river from Purdue, 4-year institutions, when it comes to engineering type courses, are going to be very hesitant to accepting credit that was delivered at the high school level. That has been our experience. So currently the engineering pathway, nobody likes that word, right? The engineering next level program of study is really design technology focused, project lead the way, etc. I would love to see an engineering pathway that is preparing students for the engineering field, but I doubt that we'll see it be college credit.
I will add too, just from my seat here in Columbus, the Columbus campus, starting with the 24-25 academic year, has this new partnership with Purdue West Lafayette called Green to Gold. And kind of think of it like as a ASAP type model for engineering. And so what they've done is they've looked, like, at least here in Columbus and the Bartholomew County area, at students who have applied to Purdue into the engineering program, but for whatever reason, either were not accepted or else declined the opportunity to go to West Lafayette. And then it's going to be like a 2+2 degree where they do the first couple of years here. I think it's going to be like compresso into a year. But anyways, they're going to be doing time here at the Columbus campus. There's actually Purdue, West Lafayette professors coming down for some of the engineering courses. And then the idea is once they get that, the first 2 years done here, then they go to Purdue, West Lafayette. And I'm sure Purdue at least is looking at, they have a decent number of students because of how difficult the program is that don't persist on, their sophomore, junior year. And this cohort, at least from Columbus, will kind of help fill some of those cohorts in. And I know the college would, assuming we see some decent success from the Columbus campus, would like to replicate that at, Indianapolis, the Lafayette campus, perhaps all 19 campuses one day. But that's something else to keep in mind. It's not necessarily a dual credit thing, but they are going to be targeting. I know at least there's going to be a lot of outreach for those students who applied to West Lafayette and then, for one reason or another will not be going there, but still wanted to go to Purdue in the fall.
Yeah, so my wife and I are robotics coaches at our local school. So 4th grade through 12th grade, we've got a lot of kids. And I would love to see an engineering pathway that utilizes the robotics because it is an engineering task. They're research and development, they're designing, they're building, they're modifying, but it's just not apples for apples. So I think it gets them kind of those fundamental introductory level skills, but it's engineering's tough. So sorry.
No, thank you both for your input. That's helpful to me to go back to the school and explain.
Yeah, my vice chancellor, Dr. Ely, was our engineering program chair here on campus, and so he's very passionate about this subject specifically. He and I went tried bouncing ideas off of each other because I thought there should be an engineering pathway, and he explained why there probably won't be.
And I am putting in the chat some of the green to gold Ivy Tech Columbus to Purdue stuff. And there it does look like it is a 2-year program in Columbus and then the second 2 years at West Lafayette. And there's a lot of, like I said, ASAP type structures that are being built into student support services, to help the students persist and to make it through there. So the first cohort in Columbus is 20 students, is limited to 20 students, just FYI. So that being said, if no one has any other questions, we'll end this discipline dialogue. I want to thank Bryce for his time. Thank some of our K-14 friends who have joined us and some teachers. I do see that someone has an issue with the link. I will look to get that link sent. Rachel, if you have access to the chat, please type in your email and I will make sure that you get included on whatever follow-up I need to do from that issue with the Google form. So with all that being said, thank you very much and have a nice rest of your day.